we should be so proud that they've come here because they're going to do amazing things given the opportunity to do that. Of course, there will be people who are vulnerable, who need help to kind of get back to normal, and I would hope that as a society we're kind and generous and supportive enough to think that's what we should do for people who've been through a difficult time.
Definitely. So when you see things like, they used to have those buses that said, go home as an advertisement, and you know, all those things driving around London, and the rise of parties like UKIP that are very, very strong in their stance on immigration, how do you deal with, how do you handle that sort of situation where people that come to you, they're frightened and they're scared about them being in this country, and they're having all these buses and all this news about immigration, they're saying people shouting go home to immigrants and asylum seekers and other people like that. How do you feel about that sort of situation? How would you think that they would feel about it? How do you think they would deal and cope with that sort of in their face 24/7 type thing?
Well, I'm sure it's very frightening, because I find it frightening, and I have permission to say in the UK, I'm British, and I find it frightening. I don't live in an area of London where I would encounter overt racism in that way. But as a British citizen, but as also a member of a minority community, when I see the kind of propaganda and hysteria which has been kind of really stirred up for political reasons, because I don't think it is really an issue in the way that it's made out to be, then it is frightening, you know, and so I cannot imagine how much more frightening it would be if you are trying to kind of be safe somewhere and you're asking for the protection of the country that you're in, and you're being faced with this level of hostility. I just think it must be really, really tough, and I think people are very scared.
Definitely. I'm going back on your point about Theresa May and the £36.52 a week situation. Was it in August where Theresa May, the Home Sec, was trying to make a freeze on the amount that asylum seekers get for another year or 3 years? How did you respond to that issue?
Well, what we did was there are still some negotiations ongoing.
Oh, and could you tell us a bit deeper about the issue as well?
The non-governmental organisations who backed that Refugee Actions Challenge about various other aspects, but although obviously the decision was extremely disappointing, for the first time the Home Office and the government had to actually justify, they had to set out exactly how they came to work out that that amount of money was sufficient, and they had to break down how much they think somebody needs per week to buy food, and how much they need to buy toiletries, how much they think is appropriate for transport, and so on and so forth, which for the first time gives us an idea of what the government thinks people need to be spending on certain aspects of essential living, and then it's a question of us working out whether people are able to live on that, and if not, you know, why they're not able to live on, what are the problems, what is it that people are spending their money on, which means that, you know, that amount of money is insufficient, although we can all have a pretty good idea, but to kind of try and work out for the purpose of any campaign that NGOs may want to run, you know, we need to have very specific information about exactly how people are spending their money, which of course if you're an asylum seeker who's already stressed out, you're not going to keep every receipt, you know, to say I spent this amount on food today, or keep a diary or do a blog, because you're not going to have the resources to do that. So that's quite a difficult issue that we face in how you find out how people are spending money, but we're working on it and we'll see if we can find a way.
Okay, great. Madhu, you got any more questions?
No, that's it.
I think we covered everything and beyond. So thank you so much for helping us out.
Right.
And
well, if you would like to undertake a challenge about living on asylum support for up to a month,
That would be amazing.
Wow.
You have to be prepared. You have to, if you're living in a shared house, you have to put aside all your food in your food cupboard and start from scratch and keep a really detailed diary and a blog. If you're interested, let me know.
Wait, so what is this? So you
Is
have
this
to.
off now?
Is it on or is it
Yeah.
off?
So this was that red button, yeah.